Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is March 6th, 2021, and this is episode 222. Today we're going to take a look at Chariot. This is from AWA Upshot. It's issue 1 of 5, and it's $3.99. It is mature content in it. As we take a look at our composition on this cover, it's very nicely done. Nice diagonals, showing action even though everything is just kind of static. We do have a helicopter hovering above there, but what we've got here is our car, which is the Chariot, which is probably the main star of this comic, I would say. The main character, however, is Jim. We'll get into his backstory a little bit. And then we have this mysterious woman here who I believe is a spy. They don't really tell you. I'm sure they probably will in future issues. Anyway, it's a story that's the ghost in the machine. And as you can see, we've got a lot of nice colors going on here. Very primary color driven. Nicely done cover. I really do like that. So let's really quickly take a look and see who worked on the book. Brian Edward Hill was the writer. Priscilla Petrates is the artist, Marco Lesko is the colorist, and the letterer is And World Design. And I think they've done another one that I've recently read. I don't know if it was the James Bond or something else. The cover artist, who did a great job, let's take another quick look. That's Jeff Decal, I'm not sure how you say that. And then we have variant covers from these people as well, like Mike Diodato Jr. He's also done some of the interior art on another Upshot comic, so we'll take a look at that at the end of this review. So let's get back to where it starts. We have this big car chase. You can see it's very action-packed. The car's spinning out. It's trying to get away from all these other vehicles and people shooting at them. And we see the driver of the vehicle, and I believe she's a spy. It doesn't really say what she is, but she's been chased by these cars, and it looks like one of those Russian-type helicopters is chasing her. She sees that. He fires some missiles at her, takes out the bridge where she is, and her car plunges deep into the waters here and settles to the bottom, and she's trapped. She can't get out, and we get this nice lighting effect as, it's really bright, it gets dimmer, and finally maybe the batteries and everything else dying out, signifying that she has also passed away as well. And that's the title pages. Now, we get a quick look at our feature character in here. His name's Jim. He's an ex-con. He's got an ex-wife. He's an ex-con with an ex-wife who's really hot, and his son Ben, who is suffering from kidney failure. So he's trying to get his life back together after prison. He's not making enough money. He owes a loan shark named Frank a good deal of money, and he's kind of determined to probably have to go back to work for Frank and do probably some illegal jobs in order to raise money. In the meantime, he mentions to his ex-wife, please don't tell the cop that you're dating currently. So she's involved with the cop. We don't really see it in this issue, but so he's got his hands full. Ex-con telling his wife that he's going to do some illegal jobs, and don't tell the cop you're dating, basically. So he spends some time with his son. It kind of reminds him of the time that when he was his son's age, his father passed away from cancer and died alone at the hospital, so he didn't want anything like that to happen with his son, obviously. Really quick, Man's World. I am doing reviews of this. It is a recommend. We're going to hit the third issue this month. I'm loving this one. The second issue really took off. First issue is mostly a setup. Okay, let's get back to our story about Jim and his trials. Now he goes back to his place of work. The owner of the junkyard, I don't know, his name is Flynn, Ted Flynn, I guess, has just left him in charge. He trusts him totally, and also tells him that if you find a vehicle that's all messed up and you get it running, you can have it. Well, just so turns out that Spy's vehicle has just been brought to the lot fairly recently. I don't know how long it was underwater, and he's determined to get it running, but he doesn't recognize anything in this engine bay. But he still thinks he can fix it because he's really kind of grown attached to the vehicle, even though he does never seen it before. He doesn't know what model it is or anything like that. He just thinks it's something special. So as he's working on it, Frankie, who's this kind of dressed like a hipster here, and his pretty well dressed group gang approach Jim and are trying to get the money back that he's owed. And Jim tells him, "I don't have it, but I'll work for you." And he says, "That's fine, but we got to leave you a little bit of a memory of what happens if you don't pay up." And so they're about to slice him open, and we get the car suddenly starting up on its own. It comes out and it runs down the person that's was basically going to carve him up. So a couple of the other guys are start shooting at the vehicle. The vehicle does a Brody and knocks the one guy into this junk pile, and one of the exhaust pipes goes through him. You can see his stuff coming out of the exhaust pipes. That was kind of cool. I always enjoy something like that. And the other two henchmen are starting to fire heavily at the car, and the car shoots out some kind of ninja flying discs or stars, and it just shreds them both and just kills them. And finally it goes after Frankie, pins Frankie up against a heap of junk somewhere and just crushes him. And the car comes back around to face off with Jim, and Jim's just saying, "I'm not running anywhere. Do what you have to do with me." You know, he knows his life's been horrible, and he's just kind of given up. He just doesn't know what else to do. And suddenly the car door opens. He goes and takes a look inside, and he just sees this interior that's just all just messed up from the water damage and whatnot. And the car suddenly backs up, and he hears a voice. And its voice says, "You seem like a nice fella, Jim." And it turns out it's a ghost of the spy that died in this car, drowned to death in this water, I guess. So she wants to know about Jim, and I'm suspecting she and her car are going to help Jim out here a little bit. And you can see he's got his little gash there from the entanglement with one of the henchmen there. So this is a recommend. The art is great. The coloring is really stunning. I really enjoyed it. I typically am not crazy about the bisexual lighting when we see it, but in this case, it really works. I mean, it's just really neat. Really makes you get into it. So I'm in on this one. Here's a cover for the next issue coming out in April. This is April 14th. They have Ride or Die. I don't know if that's the name of this issue or if that's just kind of the slogan for the series, but we still have the same team working on this issue as well. So looking forward to that. I'll be on it for issue 2. Let's take a look at some other things that are in here. They've got a nice little article from the writer and then one from the artist as well. Also some extra little sketches and whatnot. And we get a look at the car that I guess she designed, which is a pretty stunning looking vehicle. Kind of has that 80s feel to it a little bit. Just like, you know, a Taurus meets a Cutlass meets an Audi, something like that. Just really nice looking vehicle. So maybe it's been down there for 30, 40 years underwater. All right, let's look at some other AWA Upshot comics that are going on. We have Redemption, a 5-issue series with Krista Faust and Mike Deodato Jr. He did one of the variant covers for Chariot. And this goes on sale March 10th, next week. When the world goes to hell, it's good to have the devil on your side. Then we have Bite Sized, issue 4 of 4, March 31st. Cullen Bunn, Nelson Blake II, and it's not to be toyed with. It looks almost like it was computer drawn, so I don't know anything about this one. Erratic, it's a 5-issue series. The issue number 4 goes on sale March 17th. Kerr Andrews and Brian Reber. He's 15 years old and 10 minutes to save the world. So that's the key line for that one. And finally, we get a look at Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal, an 8-issue series. The first issue comes out May 5th. Time is on her side, and she looks like she's some kind of time traveler that goes back to get artifacts and valuables, things from the ancient worlds and just times past, maybe even the future. We got this character here. So we'll take a look at that maybe when that one comes out. And that's it. A recommend on Chariot. I appreciate you stopping by and listening to my review. As always, please like, please subscribe if you haven't. Please leave comments, and we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. This is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.